All right. Well, welcome back to the Post Frame 360 podcast. I am one of your hosts, Scott Craig, along with freshly cut, looking smooth and fresh, Josh Nolan.
Yeah, I had to get in and get trimmed up. I noticed in the last podcast, I mean, man, I'm like, I am shaggy.
Yeah.
Shaggy.
Yeah. You know, I
But
was noticing the same thing, and let me just tell you, don't plan to get a haircut from a barber on a Monday. Most of them are closed.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
of
Most
them
of them are closed.
You
Wonder
know,
why that is,
yeah.
just get, I don't know. I got my best friend's a barber, so I know they sometimes go hard on the weekends. I'll just say that.
They do. They do. Yeah, because I usually try to go to a barber, especially whenever I get my beard grown out again, because,
Mm-hmm.
it takes some skill to, trim out a beard. And so I was going to do that today, but that didn't work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
My son's got a big beard. And I know it's actually expensive to maintain a beard from what I understand. So
if you don't want it to be a Brillo pad and have a mind of its own, yeah, it takes a little bit of work. So, well, hey, so
definitely.
what we're going to do today is, we're recording this on December the 8th. We record these about a week, sometimes 2 weeks ahead of when you guys hear these. This one will post pretty quick because I want you to be able to have the content. But what we're going to talk about today is it's a recap of 2025, right? And if you've journeyed with us, we've done a lot of talking about business and kind of the environment that we've been in. But this is really a good time right now as we creep up on Christmas and then the New Year holiday. Your business might slow down a little bit. It tends to slow down a little bit for us here at Burroughs, but it's also a good time to reset, recap 2025, and start planning for 2026. So, Josh, that's what we're going to kind of riff on a little bit here this morning. Is just again, even for us at
Mm-hmm.
Burroughs, recapping 2025, and then maybe I like to call it visioneer a little bit for 2026. What do we want to do here at Burroughs? What do we want to do personally? But then, get you thinking about that as our listeners, our subscribers of what do you want to accomplish in 2026 and what can you learn from 2025?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the talk today. It's kind of exciting to think about the new year. At least it is for me. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to this discussion. Discuss this next year.
Yeah, yeah. So I think in order to start getting our mind in this, and here's what I would say: what we're going to talk about now. I know we keep these to 25. We've gone over here a little bit lately. Hopefully our listeners will give us some grace on that. I think when we talk about stuff important, it's kind of hard to smush it all together. But we encourage you to listen to this like on your lunch break or when you're driving down the road, and that still holds true here. But what I'm going to ask you to do is when you listen to this, I'm really going to ask you to go back whenever you've got maybe an hour that you can sit down, get out a pen, get out a notepad, and listen to this again. And I think you'll find value in that. It's something I do personally in my personal life and in my own businesses. When I had businesses, I would sit down and put some stuff to paper because it's amazing when you write stuff down, put it on paper. Um, I don't know, maybe I think it ingrains in your head a little bit, but I have found that my percentage is higher of accomplishing what I want to accomplish when I write it down than if I just let it stay in my head. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense to me because I am the exact same way. Like if I tell you I'm going to do something and you don't see me writing,
Uh-huh.
hey, you gonna handle
Yeah.
that? Because
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I just forget now. Like when I say, oh, I'll do that. I'll knock that out this afternoon. May forget to do it if I don't write it down, but I'll be on my walk in like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be like, it'll just pop in my brain. Like, did I ever email that to Scott?
All right.
Which is, you can't run a business that way.
No,
Okay. I
no.
wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then another little thing, and this is going to sound funny, like it's a joke, and it kind of is, but it really isn't. Um, when you're planning and you're like brainstorming, yeah, it's okay to use a pencil. But when you start getting down to the brass tacks and the seriousness of what you plan to do, I'd really encourage you to write it down in pen. And I say that because if you put it in pencil, it can always be erased. It's not really a hard target. You put it in ink and you can't. Right? So it's kind of one of those things where brainstorming is one thing, a call to action is completely different. And so again, let's start beyond that opening. Let's start here. Let's recap 2025. So, Josh, you and I, let's take about the next 5 minutes and recap 2025 as it relates to Burroughs Supply. I'm going to throw some biggies out there and let you kind of expand on those a little bit. So, we started off 2025 from 2024, which internally as an organization, we had some goals, right? We had financial goals we were trying to meet, and we were coming up a little short in 2024. So in the moment, we reached ahead, right? And we tried to get as much business in 2025, kind of pulled into 2024 to hit some of those goals. It was a decision made in the moment. It worked. We hit those goals, but then hindsight's 2020, right? And so we ended up basically pulling 2 months worth of business from 2025 into 2024, and so it really started us off on the wrong foot because we didn't have the business we were needing to get off to a strong start. So looking back, yeah, probably would do that different. And yeah, we are going to do that different. And then we hit tariffs, right? Like new administration, a lot of hope, a lot of disappointment, depending on which side of the aisle you're on, it could be perceived in different ways, right? But as a population, as a country, but whether you're a business owner, a consumer, a wholesaler, retailer, manufacturer, everyone was just kind of like, what's going to happen? The tariffs did come. Prices went up, prices went down, a lot of volatility. Interest rates stayed up. They didn't really come down. And that led to what I think is a consumer base for Burroughs. It's for us because for you as the builder buying from us, your customers, it would appear slow down their purchasing, right? And so there's just like this perfect storm. And then we had the weather, so it didn't even stop raining until what, Josh, like June? And so it's so wet. We can't get into job sites. Now we've got backlogs. So 2025 was just, man, like it would seem like every single card in the deck was stacked against us here at Burroughs. And we had to fight, man. Like we had to make decisions we did not want to make. Maybe you did too, right? We had to let some people go. God, that sucks. You know, great people, but then not just the fact that they're great people, but we had to conserve revenue. We had to try to stay profitable. There's all these decisions we had to make in 2025. So that's a quick recap, but you have to do that in order to say, what did I learn? What error or mistake did I not realize in the moment was a mistake, but I learned from that now so I don't repeat it. So Josh, I threw that a bunch out there. So give me your feedback on some of that.
A lot of the things you mentioned, obviously, did happen, and they were factors in our success or lack thereof in 2025. You'd started off you were mentioning pulling business ahead, and that is something we did towards the end of last year. We had offered up some discounts and things to, you know, entice some projects to be shipped out,
Mm-hmm.
and you know we did that, and it is kind of like robbing Peter to pay Paul in hindsight,
Yeah.
and we realized that, and you know, as you're you live and you learn,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a lesson we learned, which is why we're not doing that right now.
Right.
You know,
Right.
if we would have done that last year and it wouldn't have blown up in our face, we might be doing it again this
Right.
year. But
Right.
there's really no reason to offer a discount to pull projects ahead
Mm-hmm.
um, that are just not going to be there in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I will say, kind of along the lines, but on a more successful note. Um, I think our builders, especially in cooler climates, if you're Oklahoma, definitely Kansas, up north, Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, as you're entering the winter months, right? Um, a lot of times, what I would see from my experience is, as you near the end of the year, there are certain tax benefits and things
Mm-hmm.
some of our clients have to purchase a project before the end of the year.
Sure. Sure.
And so, our clients will end up, going out and selling some homeowners, some farmers, whatever, some projects, getting the books filled up. And, or you might be going into the winter months with a huge backlog already,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Um, either way, I would encourage you to offer some sort of a winter special,
mhm,
okay?
mhm.
And whatever you can afford to do. But the idea of the winter special is to, as you're moving into the winter months, into the cold weather, offer a discount or a special for those who, you could tell them, hey, look, my lead time right now is 8 weeks.
Right.
So I could get to you in December.
Mhm.
But if you'll wait till February, it's not a guarantee, but if you're willing to say, I will wait till February to save this money, you can do that. And what that does is it allows you to keep some of that end of the year open
Mhm.
so that you can continue to sell and build on your 8 week schedule.
Right. Right.
Um, and then also there comes a point in time where you need the work, right? Because people stop buying around November, December, right? They slow down their purchases. A lot of people do because of the holidays. So, there's some ways you can get creative to make sure your schedule remains full all year round, particularly throughout the winter months.
Right. Right.
But plus your crews slow down in the winter too, and things happen. So if you're able to offer yourself some breathing room with your schedule, uh, plus once you get out beyond 8 to 10 weeks, people start to get hesitant. I don't know if I can wait that long.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So it gives you all these options. It opens up all these options
Mhm.
to do that.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, for us, it didn't work quite that way, and so we're not going to look to pull things ahead, um, because what happened to us is we did that. Then come January, we still did pretty good, but come February, we started to catch up to us.
Mhm.
And then also about that time, we had some really bad winter weather, which naturally slowed everybody down anyway
Right.
in February.
Mhm.
I mean, I remember snow and ice and,
Yep.
us having conversations about, do we bring people in? Do we keep them at home today?
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
too unsafe to drive. And then we roll right into March, and it's the wettest March, April on the record of the book in
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then that just really continued on all year.
Mhm.
I mean, it never really let up. I mean, I think even through the summer, July, even in August, and it just seemed like every time I looked at my phone, I'd get an alert,
Yeah.
Muskogee, severe weather alert. I'm like, oh my God. Just got to a point where I stopped looking at it. It was
Mhm.
kind of depressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but
But,
but yeah,
you know
can't do much about weather.
right, and here's something I would say in that vein, 'cause that's great insight, Josh, and we've talked about it before. If you can plan your jobs, especially, like, in the winter months and the wet spring, season, if you can try to get those jobs on slabs, it's gonna make your life so much easier, right? If you're not trying to punch holes in the ground and it's a sloppy, muddy mess, or the ground's frozen or whatever, it's so much easier, and so that's one of the things that I would say, and again, we've mentioned this in previous podcasts, is maybe if a discount and I'm not a big discount guy, right? But sometimes they work to our advantage. So, if you could offer a discount to your customers, if if so it would be contingent. I will give you a discount if your pad and site is completely ready and you pick the date, right? Like, whether it's December 25th, Christmas Day, January 15th, like, whatever that day is, if they can have their site ready, you'll give them a discount. And I would try to find out which jobs can you put on a slab. Maybe it's one of those things where concrete work, if you're using subs, concrete work can slow down in the winter months. So maybe reach out to your concrete subcontractor and say, "Hey, man, can we work a deal together? If you'll eat $500, I'll eat $500, and let's try to get some business on the ground." You know, See what you can do. You got to be creative right now in these times, and to try to give yourself stability in your jobs moving forward. So yeah, Josh.
The other thing I want to mention there as it relates to weather and jobs ready and all this stuff is the most important thing to remember is this. No matter what you do, once you go under contract with a customer,
Mhm.
you better be communicating with them
Yes.
on a regular
Yep.
basis. They don't, I'm telling you, this day and age, clients do not want to go 30 days without hearing from somebody when
Mhm.
they're under contract,
Yep.
especially if they're giving you a good chunk of money down,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
It's like, well, I haven't heard from this guy since I signed up.
Yep.
Well, you're busy. You
Mhm.
may not, but I'm telling you, it has to be a priority. And if you're a contractor that has sales reps working for
Mhm.
you, that better be part of their job,
Yeah.
right? That's not, it's non-negotiable.
Mhm.
Communication is key when you go under contract with a customer.
Yeah.
I think if you have to push it out because of weather, everybody understands weather.
Yes.
Everybody understands those types of delays.
Mhm.
So the more you communicate, the
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, you're spot on, and again, I'm gonna say some stuff here that you're like, "Scott, you've said that before," but again, we're almost a year into the podcasting, and it's inevitable that there's gonna be some repeats, but, in my own construction company, I was often booked out 4 to 5 months, right? And so being able to manage that because people want their project done tomorrow, right? Like, "I want a new kitchen, I want it done tomorrow." Well, I'm booked out for 6 months, I'm not gonna get to you for 6 months. But Josh, you're spot on. You have to stay in communication because if they don't hear from you, they're gonna think you've forgotten about them, and then they're probably gonna start looking for a competitor, one of your competitors, right? Someone that can come in and do the job. Now, if you say, "Well, I got a contract and I got money on them." Well, that's even more of a reason to stay in communication because guess what? They gave you money, right? I
Hmm.
had one project, this one still kind of baffles me, and I don't want it to come across as me bragging, but I think it speaks to Josh what you're saying. I had a customer with, when I was with Morton, and it was a large project. He basically wanted to build a large shop on the side of a mountain, right? And, so I met with him, and we had so much dirt work. We had to excavate out half the side of the mountain to create a flat spot, go in and put retaining walls, pour piers. It was a big project. It took us because of the rain and everything, it took us 5 months just to get the pad ready, just to get the walls poured and the pad ready. I found out, I've been gone from Morton for over a year. They just finished that job about 3 months ago. So almost 2 years for his job to come to completion. But here's the thing, as long as I was working with him and super awesome owner, the communication was key. And had I not communicated, it would have been a nightmare, right? And sometimes you gotta break bad news. He wanted his building done by the end of 2024. Well, here we are, almost at the end of 2025, and he just got his building done. But we went into
Hmm.
that explaining, "Look, this is not an easy build. Like, you're literally building on the side of a mountain, right? And the roads to get in here are not great. And this is gonna hold water." That's the other thing, guys, learning how to effectively manage expectations. I would
Hmm.
always tell my customers, "Hey, here's something I need you to know. This is construction, and something's gonna go sideways. You need to go ahead and expect me to show up one day at the job site when your project is starting, and I'm gonna knock on your door, and you're gonna see my face, and you're gonna go, 'It's that day, isn't it?' And I'm gonna say, 'Yep, today's that day. It went sideways.' And we got some decisions to make, right?" They appreciated that. Thankfully, I only had to do that twice. But whenever I did, and they saw my face, "We got a decision to make, don't we?" "Uh-huh, we
Hmm.
do." Um, but managing the expectations, and yeah, Josh, you hit it spot
Hmm.
on, guys. Yeah, I understand being busy, but if you want good referrals and if you want great customers that may have you back to build for 'em again in the future, be an over communicator. Communicate well, and I'll tell you, I've heard a lot of our contractors say, "I don't no one's gonna wait 4 or 5 weeks on me." I'm gonna challenge you on that. What kind of business owner and what kind of services and value are you offering if someone won't? Because in my own company,
Hmm.
people would wait over 6 months for me, and at Morton Buildings, they waited 8. But I
Oh yeah.
but I was an effective communicator to manage what was happening with their job.
Right. Exactly. That also leads right back. It circles right back to where we talked about here a few minutes ago is, how important it is to make notes,
Mhm.
have a system, have a calendar, have a binder, Well, let me grab my, I've got my book here. I've already purchased it for 2026, my
Mhm.
binder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it's, if you look in here, it has all the calendar stuff,
Yeah. Mhm.
your top priorities for the day, and you got to keep track of, hey, I need to call this client back.
Yeah.
I told him I'd call him back. I need to call him, or I need to communicate, or I haven't heard from this person in a while.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
Those things are all important.
Josh, I want to interrupt you real there. That binder. So you were kind enough. You got that for me and some of our teammates last year for Christmas. You got us one of those binders. I am a planner. I've always
Mhm.
had binders and notebooks. That was the best one I've ever had. So do you mind if we put it in the show notes? We'll pop it up here, what
Mhm.
brand that is and where, because I'm telling you guys, it's pretty thick, but man, it's been invaluable to me this year in planning. So I'd love if we could pop that up
Same.
there.
Yeah, absolutely. We
100%.
can do that, and I'll definitely share that where we can buy it. And I just ordered it online through Amazon, but I have a um little thing here I could
Yeah,
share.
yeah,
We
let's
can
do that, guys.
we can share
It's
here.
worth the money. It's a great planner. Oh,
Yeah, it's on my desk all the time, and then when I have to go out in my truck or go somewhere, then it becomes my passenger.
yeah, yeah.
So if I make a promise or we're on the phone, I can write it down and keep track of that. But moving on to a few of the other things, Scott, we talked about, or you brought up that were sticking points of 2025: tariffs, interest rates.
Mhm.
Um, you know, to me, there's not a lot we could have done to plan for that,
Nope.
and it's just something that happened, and you had to deal with it, roll with the punches, and price increases. And as that started to happen, then we were able to start planning a little bit better with some of our raw materials providers, so that we could then communicate that on out to you. And I hope our clients felt like we communicated well enough.
Mhm.
If not, let us know, if you feel like, hey, you could have done this or that better. Hey, we don't know everything. We are human, and
Mhm.
I do believe we're always learning and getting better. So please do share.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It also makes me think, maybe we talked about in our last podcast. We've got an event coming up that
Mhm.
I really think I'm looking forward to. I'm wondering if there's something I'm looking forward to learning
Yeah.
as well
Yeah.
at that event. I'm wondering if there's anything I can learn as it relates to follow up and just being on top of my business and communication. And I look forward to that. Maybe some referrals as it relates to CRMs or time management
Mhm.
tools, things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that is a great way, man, I can't believe how quick the time goes by. To maybe start to wrap this up because we said, what are we going to do in 2026? So I love Josh that
We got to get there.
you popped up your journal, right? Like, I
Mhm.
would say if you've never been a journaler or a scheduler, try it. You're going to be surprised at it's going to, if you've not been in the habit, you're going to have to fight it, right? To make it a habit. Takes 30 days to make something a habit. So do it for 30 days. Um, Mark Eastman, right? We told you, we teased this last time. So everything is confirmed. So we will have Mark Eastman coming to Broken Arrow on January the 16th. That's a Friday. It's going to be a great event. And I would say that would be something I would put on your plans. You need to come to that. Now we shared it's limited to 10. We might be able to accommodate 12. We want this to be a smaller venue because we want there to be plenty of room for dialogue, for workshopping, and we're kind of can have a lot of different combinations. I want you to be able to, as business owners, collaborate with each other, but then I want you to be able to learn from Mark. So this is not a seminar. This isn't a lecture. This is really going to be business owner to business owner having some really, really good dialogue. I want you to walk in not seeing the next guy as your competitor. I really like you to walk in seeing the next guy as someone you can learn from, right? So it's going to be a different format. We're going to try. My plan, we will make it fun, we will make it collaborative, and you'll walk away with great tools, and that is something that Mark's gonna introduce. I'm not gonna tease that one too much, but you're gonna walk away with some tools that if you go ahead and get it in your mind to start journaling and planning, you're just gonna be that much further ahead when you come to the January 16th event. So, start planning, write it down, and plan in blocks. 3 months. What do you wanna accomplish in the first 3 months of 2026? And here's the other thing I would say. There are some that would say, "Make your goals unachievable because it stretches you." I'm gonna call bull bleep on that one. I just am. I say you set goals that are achievable, but that stretch you, right? There's nothing more defeating than setting a bunch of goals and not hitting them. That's just an exercise in frustration and hopelessness. So, go ahead, Josh.
It makes me think about the Chiefs game last night against the Texans, and the Chiefs have struggled this year, and I know probably a lot of our listeners are Chiefs fans,
Mhm.
so I'm not going to talk too much smack about them. But I mean, they're having trouble meeting their goals. I mean, they're having trouble, scoring
Mhm.
touchdowns. And that's the goals, to score touchdowns. Well, you can't score a touchdown without a first down,
Mhm.
and you can't get a first down without getting 3 yards a run or
Right.
whatever,
Right.
so you take that big goal, break it down into small little bitty pieces. So, if you want to lose 12 pounds this year, don't wait till November and then try to lose 12 all at once. It needs to be a slow play, right?
Right.
Lose a pound a month
Right.
and do it the right way.
Right. It
Your business is the same.
yeah, and if you get to the end of your 3rd quarter and you're like, "Man, I missed my goal," don't don't hang your head and give up, okay? "Oh, crap, I'm just no good at this." No, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. You can't win every single game. You may plan, if you wanna use the football analogy, you may plan for 5 touchdowns in a game against a big competitor, and you may make 3 and you lost the game. That doesn't mean you quit playing the game. You just play different. Go back and watch the film, right? Be prepared for that competitor next time. It's the same thing. One of the most valuable things I ever learned, and we're gonna wrap this up real quick. One of the most valuable things I ever learned is know about your more about your competitors' products than they do. Rather than saying,
Hmm.
"I'm getting beat on price. I'm getting beat on materials. I'm getting beat on this." Know more about your competitor than they know about themselves. Why? And is it true that they're beating you on price? Is that true? Or is that your perception? Is it true that they're getting better materials somewhere else? Is that true? Or is that your perception? Because those are challenges. And I call it something, this is in my other life, agreements. If you make an agreement about something, it becomes your reality. Now, I'm not talking
Hmm.
about positive affirmations. If you make an agreement, if I make the agreement, everyone else is is cheaper than me. Or if you make the agreement, I'm too high, you're only going to perform to the level of that agreement.
Yeah, I had a good friend who used to tell me all the time, like one of her favorite things to say was and she was in a marketing world.
Mhm.
Perception is reality.
That's right. That's right. So maybe go back. We'll wrap it up with this. Go back and think about 2025. What were some agreements that you made? And if you really think hard, what agreements can you break for 2026? Because if you made the agreement in 2025, I'm just getting my butt kicked by all my competitors. Why don't you make the agreement in 2026? My competitors aren't going to get all the business. I'm not going to get it all either, but they're not going to get it all. Why don't you break the agreement of, Burroughs is just too expensive. I got to go somewhere else and make the agreement. Burroughs may be more expensive, but the materials and their CSRs are worth it. They deliver my materials. I don't have to run around gathering it myself. I'm not saying that's what you have to do. I'm just pulling some examples out
Hmm.
here real quick. But I think that's what we do as business owners. We look at history, assess the present, so we can plan for the future.
Man, that's a good way to end this thing, Scott. But I do want to mention we might want to let our listeners know we will have another podcast
Mhm.
to talk more in depth about our plans for 2026, because we did talk about 2025 and we had so much good discussion around how to get better after that, after a year like that. I want to make sure we have time to talk about
Okay, so we'll do that.
2026.
We'll make this a part one of part two. So join us next time. So we're going to do Post Frame 360 part two, planning for 2026. And in that one, we'll focus more on what's Burroughs going to do, what's Josh going to do, what's Scott going to do as we think about our business for 2026. Well, Josh, man, 30 minutes. Oh, my word. It's getting harder and harder. Guys, we
Peace
appreciate you.
out.
Peace out.